welcome. For today's video, we're going to be doing some movements that will hopefully help out the back. As always, the number one thing we are doing our best to practice is that ability to reference inwards. Can I notice how the experience is affecting me? Can I respect the messages that I'm getting from the body? And through that respect, can I make the practice my own? There's no universal right or wrong way to be doing any of these poses, just what's going to be constructive for your unique back, your unique body in this unique time, or what's not going to be so constructive. And if there's ever a time where, if we're unsure if the signals that we are getting are constructive signals or this is past what's good for me signals, we err on the side of gentle, and slowly but surely we'll get reintroduced to those signals, and with time we will be better able to tell the difference. So whenever we're ready, we're going to find any comfortable seat. Doesn't have to be cross-legged, doesn't even have to be on the floor. We're just kind of figuring out what's going to work out for us. We'll settle in and maybe we'll take a few moments with some breathing. So whenever we're ready, we can decide if our eyes stay open or if we'd like to close them. And we'll start by noticing a breath in if we can, and a breath out. And it is perfectly okay if we're finding that trying to access the breath right now really isn't for us. There are plenty of alternatives, and if we don't know of any, many of my previous videos talk about those alternatives. But if it is working for us, we'll notice if it's okay to find a breath in, if it's okay to find a breath out. Now, as we are here, maybe we can notice something about our back. Maybe as we're inhaling, we're just going to get a little bit taller than we were before. We don't have to be sitting perfectly straight up. We're just thinking a little taller. My exhale, maybe I'm thinking about my shoulders. I'm letting my shoulders soften a little. And maybe we could play with that pattern, just taking a breath in if we can. I'm a little taller. Taking that breath out, and maybe the shoulders relax a little bit, and only when we're ready, we might try that one more time, where the next inhale, we're just thinking I'm a little taller. My exhale, I'm letting my shoulders relax. Now, what we might do is we might take a moment to see if it feels okay to let our hands find somewhere on the ground in front of us. Now, we're checking in with the body, we're checking in with the back. We might stay here. If it feels okay, we might start to walk our hands out. Now, we might be walking our hands out a little bit. Maybe it's a little more than a little bit. We're really just kind of figuring out what we need. Listening to the back. This is the very beginning of our practice. That first little bit of resistance, that first little bit of soreness or achiness, we want to listen to that. We want to respect that. And we're going to notice if it's okay to be here and breathe in. If it's okay to be here and breathe out. Maybe one more breath. Then, if it's working for us, we might bring our hands over towards one side. Now, whether this looks like we're walking our hands straight to the side or more of an out and away, or maybe it looks more like we're turning, we decide this is our practice, this is our time. Just noticing if we can take that breath in. If we can take that breath out. Maybe one more breath. Now we might walk ourselves back to center. We might find it in the opposite direction. And again, we decide maybe it looks out and away or like a turn, or maybe it's a straight over to the side. Might be different on this side. It's okay if it is. We'll just do our best to breathe in if we can. We'll just do our best to breathe out if we can. Maybe one more inhale if that's possible. Maybe one more exhale. Now we might bring ourselves back towards center. We might slowly but surely bring ourselves back up. And what we might do next is just a few of our side bends. So if it feels okay, we can let one of our hands find the ground. Right, left, we do both eventually. We might let our opposite arm reach upwards, or maybe it starts to reach up and overhead. And what we do next is entirely up to us. If we are ever getting a pinging sensation in our shoulder, maybe we're keeping the elbow down. We've took the shoulder out of the equation. We might like to reach straight for the ceiling. Maybe we're doing up and overhead. Some people like to keep the arm really close by and straight. Others like to have the hand out, or they like to have the elbow bent. None of these are inherently right. None of these are inherently wrong. We're just noticing how it's affecting the body, and is this something that's beneficial for me? Does it feel okay to breathe in? Does it feel okay to breathe out? Now, as we're coming up, we'll take that top hand. We might let it come down, and maybe we're taking a moment to notice how it feels now that it's gone from lifting upwards to back down towards the floor. Maybe the opposite arm reaches upwards. Maybe it's more up and overhead. And same deal here. What version do I need? If I get those pinging sensations in my shoulder, is it more constructive to keep the elbow bent? Do I like to keep my arm pretty close by? Do I like to have my arm out? Do I like the arm straight, or do I prefer it bent? Might be different on this side. You're asymmetrical by design, asymmetrical by use. It's okay if one side of the back needs something a little or even a lot different than the other. But whatever I found, could I be here and breathe in? Could I be here and breathe out? Maybe one more breath if possible. Now, when we're ready, we're gonna come back up. We'll let our arms relax down. We might need to move a little bit. Maybe we find our twists. So we'll just think, I'm a little taller than I was before. I might take that breath in. On my exhale, I might twist towards one side, and what we might do is just notice where we naturally twist, and we'll let our hands essentially act like kickstands. If we like them straight in front of us, we can. If we prefer to hold on to our same side leg, we can. As long as we're not forcing our back into something that it's not ready to be in. Can we notice how it feels to breathe here? Can we take that moment to breathe in? Take that moment to breathe out. Does it work for us to find that breath in? Does it work for us to find that breath out? And when we're ready, we're going to come back to center. And again, we might just think, I'm a little bit taller than I was before. And as always, if we have our pets doing our yoga with us, we're welcome to take as many pet breaks as we need. We'll do our best to breathe in. Then on our exhale, we'll twist in the opposite direction. Again, any kind of twist. This is our practice. This is our time. Whatever it is that we're going to need here today. So whatever twist we found, we'll notice if we can pause here. Can we pause here and take that breath in? Can we pause here and take that breath out? Maybe one more breath here. Now when we're ready, we're going to come back to center. Now we might do our side bends again, and we might add in a twist, but again, we're going to listen to our back and see what we need here. We'll start with the side bend part. So we might let one of our hands find the ground as the opposite arm reaches up or up and overhead, and same deal, just taking that moment to kind of just make that side bend our own. Now we might add in a twist. We might think of it as, I'm going to just start turning as if my heart wants to point something out towards the floor. Now that top arm can do whatever we need it to be. It might stay reaching in the position it's in. Some people like to lower it down a little bit, like we're about to shake somebody's hand. Some people like to reach it towards the floor. Again, neither better nor worse, just affecting the body in different ways, and we're figuring out what way is going to be the most beneficial for us. Maybe it's okay to be here and breathe in. Maybe it's okay to be here and breathe out. Maybe one more breath here if we can. Now we'll come out the way we came in. So if it works for us, we're just going to come back to a more side bend. We'll come all the way back up. We'll let our opposite hand find the ground. We'll reach upwards, maybe more up and overhead. And again, we'll just take that moment to find the side bend that feels right. And then we'll see how it works on this side. If it's okay, we're going to start turning our torso downwards. And we decide that top hand, maybe it's staying where it is. Maybe it reaches as if we're about to shake someone's hand. Maybe it's reaching downwards like we're trying to point something out on the floor or give a cat a pet, whatever we need. And this is Artemis for those who are curious. Whatever we found, we're just going to do our best to breathe in. And we'll do our best to breathe out. Maybe one more breath here if we can. Now when we're ready, we just come out the way we came in. Maybe I come back to the side bend. I'll come all the way back up, and then maybe it just feels good to move a little bit. And if we'd like, we might just end with one more breathing practice. So we're settling in however it is we need to settle in, and we decide, do I want my eyes open right now or would I prefer them closed? And can I take a moment to breathe in? Can I take a moment to breathe out? Do I like the idea of as I breathe in, I just get a little bit taller? And as I breathe out, I'm relaxing my shoulders. Does it work for us to do this for roughly 3 more breaths? And we are welcome to stay with whatever it is that we need for as long or as little as we need. We might do our best to find a relatively normal breath, knowing that just the simple act of remembering we are breathing means it's going to feel a little different. We might even just take a moment to notice if there is a positive or even just a neutrally constructive word that's naturally coming up for us. And we could always end our practice just being curious about one question, and curiosity means we might not have an answer. Or maybe the answer wasn't what we were expecting, and both are valid. Is there something in my life that I'm grateful for, that I can relate back to that word in some way? And again, I thank you for your time. I thank you for your practice.